I have something interesting that I want to talk about today. Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous is a cult. If you don't know what that is, these are programs for addiction. People trying to recover from addiction, trying to get free from addiction. I was in and out of these rooms for a few years at least while I was trying to get clean. I had an addiction to alcohol, drugs at one point, and I tried to get help, and I was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. These groups, the format is designed like religion, basically. And it requires a group conformity, of course. Just like church does. So, I'm going to tell you about my experience the first time I ended up in these rooms. And I'll kind of break down what it's like and how it's like a cult. The first time I went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, I remember walking in the room and I sat down and we're waiting on the meeting to start. I remember looking around and there was different symbols and shapes and stuff. And of course, you know, you've got a podium. And I just thought it felt weird. Actually, I thought it felt like a cult. I said, this just seems culty. But I stayed. And of course, they started the meeting. And it wasn't until... See, in the meeting, you have where everyone shares and you introduce yourself as, hi, my name's Chad, I'm an alcoholic. And everyone has to introduce themselves in that way. But once everybody started talking, that's what tricked me, because I started feeling love in the room. I started feeling like the heart, at least for me, it was what I was feeling within, because I felt sympathy for these people as they were talking. And then I began to feel like that I was in a space where I could be vulnerable and let my walls down. And it just felt like I was in a support system. And so that's when I overlooked everything about how I was feeling about it being a cult and all. And I continued to go for a little while. I never got hardcore into it, but I tried it. But see, church is the same way. A lot of people, they go to church and they're like, oh, this seems weird. This seems like a cult or something. Until, you know, the preaching stops and then they start talking about how Jesus died for you, and they start playing a soft tune on the piano, and then you start feeling it in your heart chakra, and you just and then it becomes convincing. You make it real in your mind that, oh, there is a God, a Jesus, a Savior, somebody that can save me from my self-destruction, my depression, my X, Y, and Z. And you make it real in your mind because you feel that emotion in your heart, but you're being told that's Jesus when it's just a chord on a piano hitting you in your energy center. Woo! But we're not ready to have that conversation. But so in the same way, Alcoholics Anonymous was like that. I mean, they started out with they read certain things, they read their principles, and you know there's a conformity. You know, they say certain things at the same time, or call it chant if you want, but and then of course there's always that time where the plate gets passed around. You know, they say we run off donations, and you know, just if you want to donate, feel free to donate, and then pass the bucket around. And just really fashioned after church, you know, it's just like church. And but they get you through your heart. Everybody starts sharing, and you start feeling sympathy with these people, and that gets you. But Alcoholics Anonymous also, just like in religion, where they teach you, you know, about sin, and so you do something you feel as a sin. No, well, I've let God down, and you feel bad about it, and it just feels harder to feel accepted. Well, it's like that in those groups too. And Alcoholics Anonymous especially is very oriented on time. When the first meeting you go, you get a chip. Your 30 days, you get a chip. 60, 90 days, you know, of sobriety. Year, 2 years, 5 years. And you know, some of these people, they would have years under their belt. And you would look at them and be like, man, you know, if I could just be like that, if I just had all this time under my belt, you know, and you aspire to have that time. But what happens is when you slip up, you relapse and all, well, that starts your time over. And people build their identity in time. So you get that 30 days, you're like, woo, you know, I got a month, 60 days, 2 months, 90 days, a year. Man, like I got a year, 2 years. And something happens, people slip up because there was never a true change. There was never a true transformation. You know, not to say that they didn't change in any way, or maybe things did get better, because it happens, but then life hits them. Life gives them a low blow. And sometimes it's hard not to go back. And you have to start that time all over, and you just feel ashamed. You feel beat down. You're like, I just had all this time, because you've made time your God. And a lot of people don't make it out of that cycle because they slip up, they lose their time, and it's off to the races. And if anything, that guilt and shame makes it even harder to recover, because you just feel useless, you feel pathetic. Like, why can't I have been strong enough? Why can't I be like Sue over here that's got 20 years? Yet, you know, Sue ain't really made no changes, and she's just as miserable as everybody else, or a dry drunk. But, you know, she identifies with that time. She's built that status. It's just a joke. If you're struggling with addiction, these rooms are not it. Religion's not it. It's not it. It's not going to do it for you. I'm sorry. Anyone who's ever turned to religion and stayed clean, they only stayed clean because they changed their mind. They might have thought that Jesus was an inspiration or reason, but that fades. That new feeling fades. And, you know, some people might make it, a lot don't. And if anybody does, it's just because your mental state. It's you making it up in your mind that you want to be clean. you changing things, it's your power. So, yeah, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, a joke. Cult. Just a cult. So, if you go to these rooms, you feel like it helps you, hey, that's fine. But I'm just going to tell you the truth that it's meant to destroy you. And it is, whether you want to realize it or not.